Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and a little bit of a sad stream today, isn't it? Well, very, very sad stream. Let me take my banner off now. So today is the funeral of this little one, Bebe King, and Bebe, of course, was one of the three girls. Not only three girls were stabbed, of course, but the three girls who died after the Southport stabbings. Now, I'm not going to talk about the perpetrator at all, or show a picture or anything, or even mention his name. I'm just going to talk about the three girls. Now, I had a photo up here and it's gone, so I need to find my photo again. Oh, no, hang on. Maybe it's because I'm in the videos. So one of the girls, Alice da Silva, she's already had her funeral. We looked at that. Today is the funeral of Bebe, who was the youngest victim. Oh, here it is, the picture. So these are the three victims. So we've got Elsie Dot, who is this little one here in the corner. I haven't heard anything about her funeral yet, so I don't know if it's been organised or maybe they want to keep it completely private. Alice's funeral was it last Saturday? I think it was last week, and the parents or the family, they did allow cameras to follow the actual funeral procession up to the church, and then inside the church it was private. And with Bebe, who is only 6, so she's the youngest of the three victims, bless her little heart, her parents have announced that they don't mind people can pay their respects up to a certain point in the funeral cortege, in the procession, and then from a certain point, which we'll look at in a minute, they've asked for privacy beyond that point. And obviously privacy in the church itself, only people that are invited actually to attend the funeral. And it must be so difficult because, not only they're coping with the loss of their child, but they're trying to, they know that the public wants to pay their respects, and they probably want the public to pay their respects. So it's trying to strike a balance when really the last thing you need to be worrying about is whether you're going to offend anybody or not. But it's trying to strike a balance, isn't it, in between, sort of, because it must feel to them almost like their child belongs to other people as well as them. Does that make sense? It's like, because it's so public, normally if somebody loses a child, which is the most traumatic event I should imagine that anyone can go through, but then that you have to sort of share it, if you like, you know, with people that you don't even know, because it's a famous, you know, because it's a case that's come to public attention. You know, must be sort of, I don't know how that would feel if it's, you know, if it must give comfort in some ways, you know, that people do care about your child. But it must be really irritating in other ways, because it's like everyone's trying to take a piece of your child, you know, but it's your child and your grief. And, you know, so anyway, just must be so extremely difficult just in general, isn't it? So it's a difficult one, this, because I want to pay some respects. And anyway, what the reason I'm doing this video, and the reason I'm assuming that you're here as well, going to do it with me, is the family did say that people, they would quite like it if people lit a candle at 11 o'clock UK time, which is when the ceremony, you know, the funeral starts. And the family did specifically ask for that. So that's what we're going to do at 12 o'clock Spanish time. At the moment, it's 20 to 12. So in 20 minutes, I've been out, bought a special candle for Bebe today. I bought a pink one. I don't know if she liked pink. You just always think that little girls will like pink, don't you? But I didn't have a pink candle, so I've been out and bought a pink candle, and that's what I'm going to light for Bebe. And then I will use it, you know, obviously other times for other cases. So yeah, let me just say hello to who's here, and then I'll just go through the events. There may be some people who don't know about this. You know, quite often I get new subscribers, etc. Right, I've just got to look for a couple of things. I'll just be 1 second, then I'm going to say hello to everybody. Yeah, so I was thinking about it this morning. I was thinking, you know, all these cases, how can I put it? You know, they're harrowing, aren't they? You know, we cover quite a lot of things that are harrowing for us, but we don't even know these people. You know, we don't know them. We're just using our own empathy, you know, to feel for the families, friends, etc. But ultimately, at the end of the day, when we get up tomorrow morning, we may get quite sad today, or even later on today. We'll just carry on with our lives. Our lives haven't changed because Bebe's no longer with us. But of course, her parents' lives will never be the same again, or anyone who's known her, and the other two girls as well. So we're lucky that we can carry on with our lives, aren't we? But you know, at other times we'll have had losses that, you know, don't affect other people are not affected by, but we've had to cope with. But I do think this is quite a special sort of loss, isn't it? There can't be anything much worse than your child being murdered, and then of course such a public, you know, in such a horrible way, you know, and so public. It must be just awful. So my thoughts are definitely going out to Bebe's parents and family on this day, as they never would think they had to bury their 6-year-old daughter, that's for sure. Now I've been looking, I thought there might be some coverage maybe, you know, of the bits that were allowed to be filmed, or where people were allowed to pay their respects, but I haven't found anything yet. I may find something later on. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We're here to light the candle. Let me say hello to you all. Hi, Kelly. Thank you so much for the gift yesterday. Thank you. Hi, Daniel. Hi, David. So, right. So let's just look back at what happened, just in case anybody's watching maybe on catch up, the replay crew who don't know, not everybody will know what happened, of course. But this was just such a terrible event because it was the first day of the school holidays, the UK school holidays in Southport in the UK, which is near Liverpool. I think the if you didn't come from the UK, or even if you come from the UK but you just don't know areas, start the nearest big city to Southport is Liverpool. So, you know, where the Beatles come from. Most people all over the world know about Liverpool because of that, or the football team, of course. And so these three girls, let's go back to the picture of the three girls. I had a lovely day, Kelly. Honest to God, really, really lovely. I can't even tell you, it was really nice. I'm very blessed. I'm very, very blessed, very lucky. That was a lovely birthday. It was. And so, yeah, these three girls, along with lots of other children, were attending a Taylor Swift sort of dance workshop that was being run by two teachers, but specifically, you know, designated to Taylor Swift music, etc. And these three girls were all little Swifties, along with the other children that attended. And off they went, you know, just a normal day. As I say, first day of the summer holidays, they'd probably been looking forward to this event. Off they went. And then evil also went, unfortunately. I really think there was some sort of possession that day. I really do believe in possession, because the person who did this, as I say, I'm not going to go into details about them, but they were only 17 themselves, you know, so they're obviously possessed of something. And they got a taxi from where they lived, just up the road. And, you know, unbeknownst, so apparently the taxi driver is absolutely traumatized because, well, he didn't know, obviously, but he took this person from where they lived. They booked his taxi, took them from where they lived to the area. And then this guy got out of the car. Turns out he had a knife with him, and just went into the building and just started stabbing everybody. You know, so I think there were 9 victims altogether, and 3 died, unfortunately. Now, the good news is everybody else had been released from hospital, but then there's been a little bit of bad news. I've just seen this. Hi, Eve B. There's been some bad news too, because one of the teachers, so both the teachers, or the women that were taking, you know, that were taking the workshop, were injured trying to protect the girls, but they were both released, but one of them has been readmitted to hospital, which is a little bit worrying, isn't it? But just want to tell you about the cabbie as well, because, you know, this is how these, you know, I often mention it in my videos. Whenever these sort of events happen, it's like you've got the victims, you know, the first victims, but then, you know, then it's the families, their victims, and these ripples go out of everyone who's affected by these tragedies. You know, even the public, you know, were affected by this tragedy. It certainly affected me. I'm sure it affected you. You know, there's a couple of that week was such an emotional week with all, you know, I mean, it was just awful. And I don't even know these girls, but, you know, just human decency, you know, affects people. So this is how the ripples go out from, you know, this perpetrator, the evil that is caused, and the hurt that is caused not only to the victims and their families, but like ripples going out, immeasurable damage that is caused to lots of people. And one of the people that is caused damage to is, of course, the taxi driver. So the taxi driver who picked up the Southport suspect before he allegedly stabbed, we've still got to say allegedly, stabbed 3 children to death at Taylor Swift dance class, says he has been left traumatized following the incident. Well, I can just imagine that. God, you would, of course, he's not responsible. We know that, but you would feel responsible. You couldn't, or a partial responsibility. You'd be searching back. Could you have said anything? Could you have done something? Why didn't you realize what he was going to do? All that be playing through your head. So local cabbie Gary Poland, 55, claims he dropped off the suspect, I'm not even going to mention his name, close to the Heart Space Community Centre shortly on the day the attack took place, shortly before. The incident sent shockwaves across the country, leaving 3 children, Bebe Kings, 6, Elsie Dot Stancombe, 7, and Alice da Silva Aguiar, 9, dead on July the 29th. So, you know, it's only actually, it's still only 3 weeks. It feels like ages ago. You know, it was just so, just feels like it's ages ago. It's actually still only 3 weeks. And as I say, I don't know when Elsie Dot is going to be buried. 10 others were seriously injured, all of whom have now been released from Alder Hey Children's Hospital. So all the children have been released, so that's good. So he's 18 now, the perpetrator. He's originally from Wales, but later moved to Banks, Lancashire. Was dropped off by Mr. Poland in the area earlier in the day. And following the attack, the cabbie's vehicle was impounded, leaving him unable to work. So here they are, the 3 girls. Now the cabbie has said he's been left very shocked and upset following the interaction. It comes, as his wife said, he's unable to talk about it at the moment. He feels terrible. All he's thinking about is what happened to those children. And the cabbie, whose car is still in the hands of police investigating the attacks, has now been left unable to work. As a result, the local community has shown an outpouring of support for the cabbie, and a GoFundMe page was set up, and it's now smashed through its £2,000 target to help Mr. Poland get a new car so he can continue working. And of course, after the stabbings, that's what resulted in all the riots, etc. So I'm not going to go into them. But anyway, the fundraiser launched by his friend Liam Rice says Gary, like all of us, is very shocked and upset what happened. The police have seized his vehicle for forensics and they can't give him a release date. But this can take anywhere from 3 weeks to 6 months or even a year. And once the car is released, he will have to pay the impound fees to retrieve it. What? Why will he have to pay anything? It's not his fault. Gary only recently bought the car, so he has car payments to make along with all the usual bills. He's quite traumatized by what happened. And like everyone involved that day, he thinks he could have done more. That's all that would just keep going through your head, isn't it? I could have done more. I should have done more. Why didn't I say this? Why didn't I say that? Wouldn't have made any difference, but that's just human nature, isn't it, for decent human beings? So, however, no one could have known what was going to happen, so he couldn't have done anything differently. We don't know how long his car will be impounded or how long he'll be out of work. So £2,000 is just an estimate of how much he will need. Well, I think he'll need more than £2,000 if he's going to be 3 months or something without working. He's definitely, I don't know his family circumstances, or is he paying a mortgage or paying rent or what he's doing. But £2,000 not going to last very long, is it? All help is greatly appreciated. So it comes as an inquest, so they've just opened the inquest. They opened it and closed it on the same day because to gather more, details. That's quite common with an inquest. And senior coroner for Sefton, St Helens and Knowsley, Julie Golding said, It was impossible to adequately articulate the devastating lifelong effects of the attack. It is, you can't measure it, can you? You could not. You definitely could not measure the effects of that attack, could you? Hi, Hannah. So, yeah, you know, you couldn't. How could you measure the effects? Can't measure the effects on the family. Well, you know, the family's devastated. And of course, the other thing that happened was Bebe's sister. I think I've got some details about that somewhere. Bebe's sister was there as well at this workshop. So, although that Bebe's sister survived, which is fabulous, you know, fabulous. But at the end of the day, she was there too. She witnessed it. Let's just have a look at that before. I've got to keep an eye on the time because I want to light the candle at exactly 11. Well, 11 UK time. So a funeral, oh, every time you look at a little face, a funeral will be held later for Bebe King, the youngest of the three girls killed in the Southport knife attack. So yeah, Bebe's parents said her 9-year-old sister Genie witnessed the attack, but managed to escape. I don't know what that little girl's going to go through. You know, she's going to have PTSD. She's going to probably end up, as she gets older, having survivor's guilt like people have. You know, it just unbelievable. The family have asked for privacy in and around the ceremony to be held in Southport and encouraged people to light a candle in her memory at 11. I've got a very short prayer that I'd like to say as well. I mean, it's really, really short, just a little prayer. I know not everybody who's watching will be religious, but, you know, prayer, it's just, you know, you don't have to be religious. I'm not religious. I don't have a religion, but I do believe in God. So here's a little sister, sorry, a big sister, Genie. And she did survive the attack. And there they all are, the family in happier times. So Bebe has been described by her parents, Lauren and Ben King, as a sweet, kind and spirited girl who was full of joy, light and love. And they said that Genie had shown incredible strength and courage, and added her resilience is a testament to the love and bond she shared with her little sister. And we will continue to support her as we navigate this painful journey together as a family. Yeah, you know, they've got a long, hard path to travel, that's for sure. And Mr. and Mrs. King also thanked members of the emergency services and the wider community for their support, which had deeply touched our hearts. Dear me. Okay, so we're coming up to the time now, so I'm going to stay on talking to you. And at 11, exactly, hi knickknacks. At 11, I'm going to, light this candle, which if you missed what I was saying earlier, I went out and bought a special candle for Bebe, a pink one. And I say I don't actually know if she liked pink or not, bless her, but little girls normally like pink, don't they? But not always. But just, anyway. So I'm going to light that in 3 minutes. Hi, Deborah. Yeah, how many people have taken their children to these kind of events? You know, maybe not a type, you know, summer holidays come, first thing you're thinking is, how am I going to occupy the kids? Because, you know, kids, especially young kids, little kids at that age, they do like school. It's not, you know, maybe some don't, but a lot of them, they love school because all their friends are at school and they do things and they enjoy, you know, the whole social aspect of school, etc. So then the summer holidays come up and you think, oh gosh, what am I going to do? You know, it's same with my son. Obviously, he didn't like dancing and things. He didn't want to go to any dance classes. But I would have been taking him to the football or summer school. There's summer schools that you would take them to, etc. And they would take them on days out, or, you know, all sorts of things. As a teacher, I did 2 years. I held a summer school. You know, and the thought of it now, really, because I had 20 children in my summer school, boys and girls, and a sort of mixture of ages from about 6 up to about 12, maybe 13 or something. Imagine if somebody would have just walked in and started doing that and killed all those children. I mean, I had one strange incident. I had a young lad who passed out. That's a whole nother story. I might tell you about that after I've lit the candle. I've got to keep an eye on it being 11 o'clock. You know, one traumatic event. It's a big responsibility looking after other people's children. Believe me, it's quite, you know, it put me off that. I think I only did 2 years. I didn't do any more. I do teach children, but normally not in big groups, just, you know, individual children, individual classes. But that was, you know, 2 groups of 10, loads of teachers. But yeah, we had one trauma. Right, it's 12 o'clock. So I'm going to light a candle for Bebe. And I'm going to say a little prayer. That picked up. It's a very short prayer. God of life, we stand before the mystery of evil and death as we remember the children, Bebe, Elsie Dot and Elise. Let life prevail, let evil be stopped, let grieving yield to hope. Make us instruments of your life and peace in this world, even in the small gestures of our life. Let us hold together, and especially our children close to us, and pledge to protect and keep them with your help. Amen. So fly free Bebe. So that's particularly for Bebe today because it's her funeral, but also, of course, for Elise and Elsie Dot. Hi, Silver Soul. Yeah, prayers for Bebe. And prayers for her family, because her family are going to need it. So the ceremony will be starting now. So if before we finish any pictures come out, I'll show them of the, there won't be any of the ceremony, but I know that they were going to allow people to pay their respects up to a certain point in Southport, and then when they got past that point, they'd ask for total privacy after that. So if anything comes out, I will show it. But I just want to tell you about when I was doing my summer school, there was a boy came along and his mum said he had, you know, some learning difficulties. Not that that was any effect on what happened. So what happened was, what we used to do in the summer school was in the morning we'd do sort of more writing classes, you know, more serious classes. Because bearing in mind, it's boiling hot in Spain in the summer. And then in the afternoon, we'd do activities. So that could be painting, or we'd go out to a pool, or, you know, any activity type thing that wasn't so taxing on the brain. All the brain work we did in the morning. And one of the teachers who, God bless her, I don't see her now because this was a long time ago. It was probably 15 years ago. The children loved her. She's a Spanish girl. Children absolutely loved her. She loved children. She was the most fantastic teacher with the children. But anyway, one day in her wisdom, let's say, she decided she was going to do glass painting with the children. So all the children had to bring in something glass, Mia, like a bottle or something, or maybe, you know, something like this. to paint, and she'd sort of prepared this, and they were all sat with their bottles or whatever, and she'd prepared all the paint and everything. Anyway, this boy, let's just call what we're going to call him, because I'm not going to use his real name, but let's just call him Andy. Wasn't his name, but so Andy decided, so what they were doing was with the paint, you were sucking it up in a straw and then blowing it onto the glass bottle or whatever you were decorating. That I think that was the idea. I wasn't taking that class. I was in another class with somebody else, some adults. Next minute, someone came running into me and they said, "Oh my God, Andy, instead of blowing the paint out, he sucked it up and he sort of breathed it up through his nose and he's having a fit." So I come out. Oh, that's a nice prayer, Silver. So I've come running out, and this Andy is lying on the sofa in the reception, fitting, like his eyes rolling back in his head. Oh my God, can you imagine the panic? He was about 11, this boy. So straight on the phone to the ambulance, try and get an ambulance. Well, you try, if you ever come to Spain, don't get ill in August, because August in the area where I live, or where my school was then, because I didn't work from home then, I worked actually out of a locale. It's a very tourist area, so it's chocker with tourists. In July and August, it's mad. So and of course they're all going to the hospital, or they're all having accidents, getting drunk, and so the ambulances are full out. Normally the rest of the year, you rang an ambulance, it'd literally be here, in 5 minutes. But of course, no, not in August. So couldn't get an ambulance for ages. We waited ages for an ambulance. In the meantime, this boy is having what looks like an epileptic fit, to be honest, but his mum had not told me that he was epileptic, or if he was epileptic. Hi, David. She just said that he had learning difficulties. So he's sort of twitching, his eyes rolling back in his head. I just don't know what to do, waiting for this ambulance. Anyway, I don't think it was an hour that it took, but felt like an hour. It felt like a day, because this is somebody else's child, don't forget, as well. So I'm trying to get hold of the mother. Well, the phone number she's given me, no, it's just switched off. So not only there's no answer, it's not even ringing. It's not even, I just can't get through at all to let the mum know what's happening. I still don't know to this day why that was, to be honest. Anyway, finally the ambulance arrived. So my school was on the first floor, and there was just one man in this. It was a really old-fashioned ambulance. I think they were just on their, they were just, all the ambulances were in use. It wasn't like what the proper ambulance that normally comes with the paramedics in and everything's state of the art here in Spain. It looked like they'd pulled out every last ambulance that they could, because it was a busy time. And this one was about 30 years old. One guy, just the ambulance driver, no assistant, nothing. So it's like, how are we going to get this boy? So by now he's stopped fitting, but he's unconscious. So then it's like, how are we going to get him downstairs on the stretcher? At least he had a stretcher. So anyway, somebody helped him. It might have been me, actually. I can't remember if it was me. I was a lot younger then. We got this poor boy downstairs into the ambulance. Off we set to the hospital. Well, now we have got a hospital just up the road, but that hospital hadn't been built yet. So we had quite a distance, at least 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes to get to this hospital where we were taking this boy, Andy, I'm calling him. I'm sat in the back with Andy in the back of the ambulance. He's unconscious. I'm not even sure if he's breathing or not. Then suddenly, as we going there was all these bumps in the road, and we kept going over these bumps. This really old ambulance seemed to have no suspension, and every time we went over a bump, he sort of like, bumped over it. And then suddenly he opened his eyes, his eyes rolled back in his head, and he sort of curled upwards like this and then went flat. I thought he was dead. Honest to God, I thought he died. So I'm screaming to the guy, the ambulance driver. I don't know what happened. I think he might be dead. I think he's dead. So he's going, well, is he breathing? Is he breathing? Put your hand to his mouth. Can you feel him breathing? So I'm like the bloody paramedic in this ambulance because there's nobody else there. Anyway, I could see he was breathing, thank God. So his chest was rising and falling. Finally, we get to the, so I still can't get hold of his mum. I'm ringing his mum. No, can't get through. Her phone's switched off. So we get to the hospital. As they're taking him out of the ambulance on the stretcher, they sort of banged the stretcher on the side. You know, it was quite they caught the side of the door with the stretcher, and he woke up. So with a bang, he sort of just sat up and went, what's going on? Anyway, they took him in. And they're like saying to me, the doctor, by the time the doctor came round to see him, well, what's wrong with him? There's nothing wrong with him. He sat up in bed like nothing had happened. And then when I finally got through to his mum and she came to pick him up, he's just sat up in bed. Hi, Mum. You know, I've been through all this trauma of thinking this boy is dead. And literally then everyone's looking at me as if I was just making a big fuss about nothing. The doctor's annoyed with me. The mum's annoyed with me because I've spoiled her day by phoning her up or whatever. Really. Anyway, he was fine. And you know, I still can't remember I actually got home that day because obviously I didn't have my car with me. I must have got someone to come and pick me up. But yeah, definitely needed a Valium, Hannah. And I think that was the last year. It was either that year or maybe I did one more year of the summer school. But it's such a big responsibility. You know, looking after other people's children is a big responsibility. And that when that happened with that boy, I realized, I mean, what if he would have died, you know? And of course, it really, I suppose you could say it was the teacher's fault in a way because they were doing this glass painting. But then it was his fault because he breathed it in rather than blowing the paint out onto the glass. He inhaled it. So still don't really know what caused the fitting and what have you. I mean, it wasn't, you know, obviously we checked the paint. The paint was safe for children. You know, it shouldn't have done that. It shouldn't have had that effect. And maybe it was nothing to do that. Maybe that, you know, maybe he did have an epileptic fit. Or, I don't know. Hi, Heather. Teaching children is very stressful. I don't know that, honest to God, my all, you know, applause for teachers who do it, you know, with classes of 30 odd children. We only had 20 children and we had 2 classes of 10 each. There were 2 teachers in each class. So it was a 2-to-5 ratio, 2 teachers to a teacher to every 5 children. And these were, you know, the parents were paying for the classes, so you know it's sort of different. They're not like making them go, though we did have some there that they didn't really want to be there, but most of them wanted to be there. So how they go on in schools, and of course the older the children get, the more difficult they are to cope with. That's in my experience anyway. The little ones, they're lovely. They're normally quite like whatever you're doing with them. They, you know, but of course as they get older, if they don't want to be there, they're hard work. If they want to be there, they're not hard work. It's lovely. And but if children don't want to be there, because they then disrupt all the other children as well. That, you know, I have had to actually say to some parents, you've got to your child can't come anymore, because not only they're being a pain, to be honest, but they're disrupting all the other children, and their parents are paying for them to come as well. And they want them, you know, to learn some Spanish or to do something constructive, and your child is stopping them. So sometimes I have had to do that, actually say to the parents, look, they just can't do it. They can't come to class in a group. They've got to be a one-to-one class or it's impossible. So difficult. Oh, do you work with children, Silver? Oh my God, eyes everywhere. Things that you just don't even think about. And they always find something dangerous, like sort of they come up to you with a lighter or a pair of scissors and you think, oh my God, where did they get that lighter from? Or, they can find anything some kids, it's like they hone in on the most dangerous thing, that they can. And of course, for the children, you're always giving them like paper scissors and what have you, but they always seem to find a pair of proper scissors somewhere. Just like they're like homing pigeons on that. It is, you've got to be aware of everything, like say, eyes everywhere, and think about things that normally you just don't think about. And I do. Sometimes the parents are the worst enemy. It's like I used to say, they've got to bring in like a little snack, a mid-morning snack, but no Coca-Cola, not like Chris and a can of Coke. They're supposed to bring in proper little snack like a sandwich or a yogurt. And we gave them water anyway. There was always water there for them to have any time they wanted. But, a fruit juice or something, but not something full of ease or whatever that'll have them whizzing all. And parents would still send them in with a can of Coke or, these kids didn't need any more energy drinks. Or the worst ones was because there was a bar downstairs from my school. They would send them with the money and say, oh, they can go down and get themselves a packet of crisps or something and a Coke. And I'd say, well, who's going to take them down to do that? You're saying I should just send a child off downstairs to the pub on their own to buy a Coke because we can't go because we're supervising the other children. Honestly, parents are difficult, really difficult. Glue causes problems. That's it. You want them to, you want them to have a good time. And the other thing I found is sometimes when parents come in and they say, oh, they've got a few learning difficulties, sometimes what they mean is that they're one step from Borstal, they're not. There's a difference between someone who has learning difficulties and someone who actually is a little, just a little bugger, just looking for trouble. That's, sometimes that sort of happened as well. And you're trying to cope with these kids. Some, not all kids are easy to cope with. So we had a few discussions that way as well. But so then you get blamed if you're too strict. You get blamed if you're not strict enough. That's the thing you get from the parents. You've got one parent coming into you saying, oh, you're not letting the kids play out enough. Well, it was 40 degrees outside. As far as I was concerned, after 1 o'clock, you don't go out. I don't go out even now during that time. So I'm not going to take loads of kids outside to play football or whatever in 40 degrees heat at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in August. But so you'd get some parents that would say that, and then you'd get other parents who would say, oh, you shouldn't be taking them out. So all the parents were the biggest problem. They were more problem than kids, to be honest. So anyway, I did the first year was a full-time summer school. Oh God, and that was the one where that boy I had taken to the hospital. It was one thing after another. There was always something going on. There was always a drama. So the following year I made it just part-time. And also I put the price up because what I found the first year was people were just using it as a place to sort of drop off their children while they went to the beach or the pub or whatever. They didn't really want their kids to learn anything, or, it was just like, oh, you look after it, you know. Some parents just like to dislodge their kids, like, so they can do whatever they want to do. But the second year, when I made it part-time and I put the price up a little bit, definitely got different clientele, let's say. So the kids that were there, their parents wanted them to be there, the parents were responsible, the kids were responsible. It was completely different the second year. But then after that, I didn't do it again. It was too stressful. It was far too stressful. But yeah, so teachers get a bad deal, I think. You know, teachers in general of kids, you know, it's hard. It's hard to teach kids, whether it be, you know, a dance workshop, or whether it be, you know, Spanish classes, or, you know, whatever you're doing it is difficult. It's a challenge. And as I said, we only had 20 kids between 4 teachers. So how people cope in the real world, you know, in the actual schools, I just don't know. Now that reminds me, I'm going to have a look at the to see how that teacher's getting on. So yeah, one of the teachers that was doing the workshops, she's been readmitted to hospital. Let's have a look. So that's a shame. I hope she's okay. Apparently she's had some problems breathing. So the Southport attack dance teacher readmitted to hospital. Leanne Lucas. So a yoga teacher who was stabbed during the Southport knife attacks has been readmitted to hospital due to breathing problems. She's 35 and she's believed to be one of the organisers of the Taylor Swift themed dance class where the attack happened. Her cousin previously said she ushered the children into a storage room and shielded 2 little girls from the attacker, and that is when she was thought to have been injured. Her family posted the update on the fundraising page on Thursday, adding that Miss Lucas had barely begun her road to recovery and asked for people to keep her in your thoughts. So she was initially in a critical condition after the attack on the 29th of July. And her cousin Chris Rimmer previously told the BBC their family had been torn apart by the attacks. He said that Miss Lucas always gives and never expects anything from anybody. She's one of the most outgoing people I've ever met in my life. She's absolutely amazing. So that's so very, very sad, isn't it? I hope she's okay. So I don't know. They said something about her having problems breathing. So I wonder if she'd been stabbed in the chest and, you know, if it's a lung that's been affected. But so sad. So I think the candle as well should be for Leanne, that Leanne recovers quickly. Hopefully they'll be able to sort her out again and get her out. I mean, it's a good sign that she was released from hospital the first time. Maybe she was released too soon. I think the other teacher has been released and is okay from what I can gather. Right, let me just see if I can find any update on the funeral. If not, we'll have to look at it another time if there is anything. Yeah, no, there's no pictures. So it looks like it has been kept private for now. They probably will release some pictures somewhere along the line. Yeah, let's hope that her breathing issues are sorted soon. Bless her. Okay, so we've lit our candle. We've lit our candle for Bebe. We've said a little prayer. We've paid our respects, and really, really as well for the family, that they find a way. They find a way to cope with this. And Genie, her sister, you know, doesn't sort of suffer too much as time goes on. She's young. Hopefully she will overcome this, you know, but it's going to be a hard road for her because she's going to be missing her sister for the rest of her life, isn't she? And of course probably having flashbacks to when it all happened. So very, very sad. Hi, Laurie. That's not like you, Laurie, is it, to be late? It's not like you. Okay, so I think that's about it for now, but I want to say a special thank you for all of you for yesterday as well, for my birthday stream, and you were all so kind with nice messages and gifts and things. Thank you. I really did I almost feel guilty. It's awful because you can feel guilty about enjoying your life, but then, you know, when all these awful things are happening, and of course talking about true crime, I'm quite often talking about, you know, things that are very sad and that, but you know, that's it. You owe it to the people. I think you have to make the most of every day while you can, because you just never know. You know, you just never know, do you? And it doesn't even matter what age you are, because you know, life's a bloody lottery, isn't it? You just don't know. Probably a good job we can't see into the future, see what's going to happen tomorrow or the day after. We just have to live in the moment, because otherwise there's no point in worrying about what happened yesterday. There's no, apart from the good things, you know, good memories. Like I'll remember yesterday for a long time, because it was a very special birthday to me for a lot of reasons. And you know, it just was lovely. I mean, just all of it was perfect. And you know, I've had some birthdays that weren't perfect just over the last few years, just for various reasons, and yesterday was the first one that was just lovely. So I'm grateful to God for that, because I never thought I would get back to enjoying birthdays again, but anyway, I did, and part of that was because of you all as well, so thank you for that. And I'll be back soon. I'm not sure, I've got a video in mind that I want to do, but I'm just not sure when. I may be back on later tonight. We'll see how things go, but if not, I'll definitely be on tomorrow. So take care, have a fantastic weekend, make the most of every minute. That's it, David, live for the moment. We have to live for the moment, don't we? And yeah, prayers going out for Bebe and for her family and friends. And in fact, I'm going to put her picture up and play some music going out. Put the candle here. Where can I put the candle like that? So I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you and oh, poor Bebe, keep dancing.